Hello, everyone. I'm excited to be here to share with you today. I am a fellow mom, and I know firsthand experience on raising kids in a world that is full of technology and screens. And today I want to talk to you about screen time. It's something we all deal with, and I think it's essential for us to understand the effects of screens and how they play a part in our lives. And for those of you who don't know me, my name is Rolanda. Everyone calls me Ro. My family and I have been here at Grace for over 10 years. We've been married. My husband and I have been married for 27 years. I've been a mom for 26 years. And we have 6 children from the ages of 26 to 10 years old. And at every moment, we find ourselves in different stages of parenting all at the same time. Sometimes I feel like I'm thriving at this parenting thing. Like, I got this, I can do this. And then sometimes I just feel like I'm missing it. When I feel like I'm thriving, it looks like this. Everybody has on matching socks. Meals are planned and prepped, maybe prepped, but definitely planned out for the week. And then lastly, it looks like the laundry is washed, sorted and put away, folded and put away. At the other times, though, what it looks like when I feel like I'm missing it, it is there's no matching socks because the washer and dryer may have gotten a little hungry. I'm sure all of you can relate to that. It also looks like the laundry sitting on the sofa for a week. It's washed and it's clean, but it's on the sofa. It hasn't been folded, hasn't been put away. And then meals, that's another thing. We get so busy sometimes that meals we end up picking up or, ordering out. And that's really not, that's not what I feel like I'm thriving. I wonder how many of you can relate to that out there. So finding a balance and a rhythm or routine can be a challenge at times. While trying to create a rhythm for my family, I learned a couple things that I'd like to share with you. The first thing I learned is that every season is different. And when I say every season, I'm not talking about the 4 seasons. I'm talking about the seasons in your family. My family has 2 seasons. One season is a school time season, but even in that season, we have sports time. So all of my kids play a sport or 2. And so during that sports season, there's evening practices sometimes, there's evening games, there's weekend games. That means we're doing a lot more running. That means a lot more crock pot meals. It just means that things look a little different. Although school time is a bit more structured than summertime. And so the next season we have is summertime. Our summertime schedule is a lot more relaxed. The kids don't have really a bedtime. Well, they do, but it's a lot more loose than it is during school time. And there's a lot more cooking. I'm cooking more. They are eating more. My grocery bill is probably about 3 times what it normally is because now I'm cooking breakfast, lunch, and dinner. But the second thing I learned is that home is a training ground and it's an opportunity for growth and development. I'm not raising kids, I'm raising adults. And to raise good adults that are currently kids, I have to give good structure and good discipline. One of the most frustrating things, and I'm sure you have this same frustration, is having to repeat yourself over and over again. Correcting behavior. But this is all part of the training. And there's a saying that says repetition is the mother of learning. It has been a reward, though, to have well-trained kids. And they're not perfect kids, but they're well-trained. It's been a reward for people to come up to us and say, hey, your kids are so well-mannered. They work hard. And my husband and I, we would be shocked sometimes when we get these reports because that's not how they show up at home all the time. But it's also great, though, to know that our training at home, the people in the world get to see the fruit of the labor that is happening at home. So that's the training. So what I want to focus on today is good structure and good discipline around screen time. Screen time is becoming an increasing problem and has become a part of everyday life for most of us. Screens are almost around us everywhere. So there's TV screens, there's computer screens, there's phone screens, there's tablets and watches. And many of us may not even realize how much time we're even spending on screens. I remember one Christmas getting a gift of an Apple Watch and a pair of AirPods. So I'm in the grocery store one day. I have my AirPods in my ear. I have my Apple Watch on my wrist, and I have my cell phone in my hand. And as I'm checking out, my phone rings, and my whole body starts to vibrate. And so I didn't know what to answer. I didn't know whether I needed to answer through my AirPods, answer on my watch, answer on my phone. And so that was and I was very overstimulated at that time. So that was a good reason to get rid of some of that technology that I don't need. I only need one place to check my messages, one place to answer my phones. And so I just got rid of everything else. So I just have a phone right now. Studies show that the average person spends about 6 hours and 58 minutes a day on internet-connected screens. While preparing this message, I ran across a new term called digital soothing. Our devices have become a pacifier for our feelings, emotions, and realities. Our screens have become a way of escape, sometimes even when people are sitting right next to each other. This is not a challenge for our children, not just a challenge for our children, but it's also a challenge for us sometimes as well. And some of the effects of too much screen time are sleep problems, chronic neck pain and back problems, depression, anxiety, obesity, and it also causes children to have lower test scores. Being on the screens are not all bad. So I don't want to paint this picture like everything that we do on the screens are bad. It's not. We just need to create healthy boundaries around our screens. And I was just watching a YouTube video with my son, and we were watching Europe. We were watching some of the scenic pictures in Europe, and they were beautiful. And it was just such an amazing thing. And so this is where technology is one of those amazing things. You know, it was such an amazing thing to be able to sit in my living room and watch the scenic pictures from Europe, and I didn't even have to go anywhere. Because in my day, when I was growing up, we had encyclopedias and imagination. So how do we create safe boundaries and balance around screen time without adding stress to our families? I want to give you 5 keys to do that. But first, let's look at 1 Corinthians 10:23, which says, I have the right to do anything, you say, but not everything is beneficial. I have the right to do anything, but not everything is constructive. In this verse, Paul was addressing a philosophy in his time that some might have today, and that is, it's an attitude that presumes that all of my sin is forgiven and I am no longer under the law of Moses. I must be free to do whatever I want to do. While it is true that many things are not sinful and of themselves, that it is not the end thought process, though, for believers. We have to apply different standards for what's best for our freedom. As it relates to screen time, we have to ask ourselves and teach our children the benefits and the constructive ways to use it. So the first key I want to give you to creating balance around screen time is be the example. Discipline yourself. And this might not be a challenge for you. It's not much of a challenge for me today, but I remember the day that I would get on Facebook and I'm thinking I'm just going to look up one thing, and there I was an hour and a half later and asking myself, what did I actually get accomplished? And it was nothing. It was just a bunch of scrolling. And so we have to create boundaries for ourselves as well. So first, we have to be the example that we want our kids to follow as well. In the Bible, we see the importance of setting healthy boundaries to protect our minds and hearts. And Proverbs 4:23 says, above all else, guard your heart, and everything you do flows from it. We must be intentional about what we allow into our minds and the minds of our children, including the media and the screens that they consume. In Ephesians 5:15 and 16, we are encouraged to be very careful then how you live, not as unwise, but as wise, making the most of every opportunity because the days are evil. We've got to be wise. We just have to be wise about what we're watching on our screens, or the kids are watching on their screens, and just creating good places for them to do that. Key number 2, set screen time limits and make good choices within the limits. So there's some examples that were given in the book Habits of the Household. And some of the examples he gave was family movie nights, to create family connection and family time, to just schedule some time around family movie night. What I love about what he said is that he and his wife, they create a list of content that they know that, it's safe for the kids to watch. It's nothing crazy. But we do know that even in those safe places, what we consider safe places, sometimes things sneak in. You can be watching Disney right about now, and you could find anything on Disney. But what he does, and what I love that he said, is that he pauses. If something comes up, if something sneaks up in there, he pauses it and they have a conversation around it. And I love that real-time follow-up and conversation, which is something I'm going to try with my family. I'm going to do with my family, that you get to create conversation around it, and you get to talk about what you believe, and and how this doesn't apply to what we believe, or how it doesn't, it's not in line with what we believe. So the second thing you can do is a screenless car ride. So I know when I was growing up, we used to play the license plate game. My kids right now, they also play the ABC game. And what that is they find signs and go through the whole alphabet, and whoever gets to Z first is the winner. Get creative. I mean, look, we used to also watch the clouds and think of different shapes that the clouds were. But we're losing that creativity, especially in the car, if we're always on the screen. Even some of our cars have TVs. So there's always a reason to be on the screen. But maybe make your car rides a screenless car ride. Try a technology turnoff. You can do a turnoff for a day, a turnoff for a week, a turnoff for a weekend. We've done technology turnoff week, and it gives us an opportunity to take a break from the screens. But I can tell you that also my children have become very creative during this time. I'll buy new puzzles. I'll buy new games. They also will pick up a book. And I love to see them grab each other and play games with each other, and they're laughing and joking. Unlike sometimes when they're overstimulated on technology, now they're fussing and fighting and bickering. And this just gives us a time to cool down and cool off. Now, key number 3, get your kids involved and allow them to give feedback, input, and suggestions that around how they can reduce screen time, how the family can reduce screen time usage. I actually talked to my daughter and was asking her to give me feedback on how did it feel when we would ask them, when we would include them in family changes. When my husband and I wanted to make changes with the family, how did it make her feel? And she said it makes her feel like she has a place, like her voice is important, and that it also motivates them to participate in whatever change we're making. So pull your kids together and ask them, tell them your goal, and ask them, how can we as a family accomplish this reduced screen time thing? And tell them why it's important. Key number 4, you can use parental control software and apps. On occasion, I would look at my kid's phone and I would have them look at their screen time and tell me how much their screen time was. Why that was so key, because as I said earlier, we don't always know how much time we're spending on screens. And so when I brought them that awareness to them, they would see, whoa, I'm spending way much more time than I thought. And so it's key, because then they start to make adjustments. I know there's been times I would show them their screen time and they would maybe disable one of their social media apps for a time. They would start reading more, getting into their devotion more. So it was key just to have some conversation around that and just ask them ways that they could reduce it. One of the key things, my oldest son, he just moved away, and he's on his own. One night he came and drove his PS4 over to the house to drop it off to his brother, his younger brother. And what was so key about that is he said he realized he was spending too much time playing games. And so what that meant, though, is what was so key about that is that no one was there at his apartment telling him, hey, you're playing too many games. He lives by himself. Nobody would know that he's playing too many games. But I just believe that it is the training and the rhythm that we raise them in to know that, okay, this may be a little bit too much. And so I was very proud of him, and he continues to make changes and to make sure that he's balanced when it comes to screen time and electronics. So key number 5, you can create screen-free zones. So in my house, one of our screen-free zones is our kitchen table. Well, not totally screen-free, but if someone else is sitting at the table with you, you are not allowed to have a screen. You have to engage in conversation. And I don't care if it's small talk. I don't care if you say, hey, how was school today? I don't care what it is. But no two people at the table with electronics. There's no interaction there. And so we don't always eat dinner together as a family. So there are times that they're at the table, maybe eating a snack or maybe even eating a meal, and they're by themselves because of schedules. And I'm okay with that. But if we're together or if someone else is there, no screens. So these are just some of the ideas that I have used to create boundaries. You don't have to use any of these. Maybe this was helpful, and I hope it was. But if not, it's okay. Find what works for your family. All of our families are different. You know your family better than I do. Find what is going to work for your family. And my challenge to you is just to do something different. Find something that would work for your family. If it's one thing, just do one thing. Every little bit counts. So by establishing healthy boundaries around screen time and being intentional about media our children consume, we can help develop their strong minds, healthy habits, and a love for things that truly matter. So in closing, I want to challenge you to begin making some changes, as I said before. Find something that works for you. But as the book has given us some great examples, and I'm just going to read those off. Choose one of these 3 things if you want to get started, if you don't already have something in mind. That's scheduling a regular family movie night, screenless car rides, or a technology turnoff. Just pray and ask God for wisdom on how to implement these things. It was a pleasure to share with you today. Have a good night.